In our last video, I discussed the chaos and how important it is for us to understand that we cannot continue to allow the chaos that is on the outside of the world to become a part of our inner being. We cannot become chaotic on the inside and chaotic on the outside. Um, I wanted to discuss something that I think is very relevant to the search that many people are finding themselves on. There's so much doubt and so much competition over who has the truth and who's telling the lie and who is more connected to this in the spirit realm or the universe or the great mind, the source, the creator, who has that connection that is greater. And there's so much knowledge out there that you cannot discount. And you have to be able to go back to that place that I discussed in an earlier video called balance. I think one of the things that we're dealing with today is a lack of balance. And that is balance in every area, not just in the spiritual arena, but even in the arena of what it is that we think we know, or what it is that we're searching for. We need a place of balance. And so one of the things I wanted to discuss with you today is truth and forms. One of the things that I'm convinced about truth is that truth is actually, what is the word I want to use? Truth is something that is personal, that you personally have come to understand and acknowledge as something that resonates within you. So truth, although we can say that there is an ultimate truth, but when someone says there is an ultimate truth, ultimately they're going back to some teaching or something that someone has told them or something that they have studied or researched. And there's nothing wrong with that. But truth, all reality, is not knowledge. It is a knowing. It is a inner knowing that something that you have encountered is resonating with you in a way that is causing you to transform on the inside. That is an evidentiary understanding of truth. There are many layers to truth. And all the layers to truth are used to build stairways to ultimate understanding and knowing. Truth is not about how much knowledge you have obtained, but how much do you understand about yourself? Because everything that is outside of you has to come back to you, and you have to discern that experience and decipher that experience and understand that experience through whatever it is that makes you what you are. Truth has to do with the form that truth comes in. Truth is also the ability to tap into the source that is appropriate for what you are sensing and understanding. So it's the ability to know through the inner self what it is you're connected to in spirit. Spirit is not about truth. It is about knowing and connecting to a place of origin where everything is known and the layers of understanding disappear into an abyss of experience that's beyond the flesh and the soul and reunited to the spirit. So there is a layer of truth that we must obtain while we are here. And I looked up the etymology of form. The meaning is a document, with blanks to be filled in. So it is a system of orderly arrangement or a ceremony, form, a semblance, image, likeness, physical form, appearance, pleasing looks, shapes, images, ways, manners. And what are we? We are a form. Our spirit is in form. Our soul is in form. There is nothing that we experience that does not have a form, that has some level of appearance to it, or some level or some manner of shape or experience. And in order for you to experience a form, you experience it in some kind of way of appearance, whether it's a spiritual appearance or a mental thought appearance or a physical appearance. And when it said the meaning, I looked down and looked at that meaning, a document with blanks to fill in. It's funny because documents means lesson or teaching, instruction, written evidence, proof. So it's to show, teach, cause to know, originally, make to appear right, be seemingly fitting, meaning something written that provides proof or evidence is form. So whenever you see a form or when you look at yourself, you are the evidence and the proof of something. You are the evidence and the proof of something that has a meaning to it, that has caused you to appear. So this sounds like a rambling, but when we look at it and we understand the reality of everything that we see has a form to it. It has a shape to it. It has an appearance to it. And so what we have gotten locked into is the physical forms, the physical appearances. We have gotten locked into looking through our physical eyes and not through our mental eyes or our spiritual eyes. Each one of our body systems have a system of sight. And we confuse often the physical system of sight with the other systems of sight. And each system of sight is to take us further and deeper into our form. It takes us deeper into our existence, into our inner most sacred place of origin. So basically what I'm saying is this: we cannot continue to look at ourselves as if we are actors on TV or as if we are participating in some type of reality show. We cannot continue to live our lives as if we're living our lives out as actors on a stage. In sociology, we do talk about role playing, where society has created roles for all of us to play. And when we play those roles, we're playing those roles on the stage of society. So basically what is happening is when you get up in the morning, if you are a parent, depending on the age of your children, you have to play the role of a parent. But then when you leave your house, you play another role. So we're getting caught up in the roles that we play, these physical roles that we play, and we get lost in the physicalities of our reality. And it makes it difficult for us to continue to see the other parts of our body system. And so it becomes inactive. It lies dormant within us. And when it lies dormant within us, the levels of truth and the layers of truth that we deal with, we continue to deal with them from a perspective of what we are putting in ourselves, in our minds, not what is coming out of us. And everything that you pick up and that you read, everything that you study and that you research, first began inside of someone's mind or something's mind. So you are missing a jewel when you neglect to understand who you are and to trust the information system that is within you. Now, I call that information system the mind. I call it the thought system, the consciousness, the place of knowledge, the place where we hear and where we understand. And in order to get in touch with that body system, you can just do this little test. When you're sitting down and you have a moment to quiet yourself, and you're listening to the thoughts, you're able to hear the thoughts that are going on in your mind. Ask yourself, who's thinking those thoughts and who's listening? And when you ask yourself that, or when you actually participate in that experience of listening to the thoughts, you have to discern within yourself that there is a part of you that is able to both think and listen to what you are thinking. So if that is so, that is the beginning of you understanding that you are a cohesive system. You are both the observer and the observed. Now, beyond that, when you're able to think about what it is that you're thinking about, or to listen to what you're thinking about, and you ask yourself, if I'm able to listen to what I'm thinking about, who's listening, who's thinking? And then when you ask yourself who's listening and who's thinking, you can go beyond that and say, what am I? How do I have this ability to both listen to myself and also think at the same time? So for some of us, what we have done is we are fighting our thoughts. We are fighting against our thought system because we have adopted our thinking as ourselves, as opposed to seeing ourselves as an observer of what we are thinking and one who is able to extract from that thinking what it is that we need and we want. So if you are able to extract from your thinking a particular thought, then are you extracting from yourself, or are you just extracting from a thought system? And so now we go further, because now we know that we are the observer, but we also are understanding that all of this experience is happening inside of the body that we're in. Or ask yourself, is it happening inside your body? Are you inside of your body? Really? Are you inside of your body, or are you that which controls the body, that which controls the thinking? Are you that layer of reality? Because if we don't stop and sit down and start to think this way, then we can get caught and get lost in this physical world, which is a trap. And this physical world was not meant to be a trap for us. It was meant to be another level of experience where life experiences itself. Every object that is a material object, or that is matter, is made up of this very same thing: protons, electrons, quarks. So we understand from a quantum level that it doesn't matter what material thing is here, it is made from the same substance. And so what I'm getting at is that if you are caught in what someone is considering to be truth, or what someone else is researching, or what someone else is searching or reaching for, then what happens is you attach yourself to that system, and as opposed to becoming a balanced system in yourself. So if I am constantly talking to my friends and looking to them for my answers and looking to them to help me get through life, and not saying that these things we cannot do, but when that becomes the focus, when I have to go to church every Sunday and listen to the pastor preach to me and tell me what it is God is saying, and then when I speak, the preacher says to me, no, you're not speaking for God because you have not been called by God, so you don't have that authority. So we get into this type of physical imbalance. But when you were born as a blank document, as a blank form, and there was a purpose for your form, and that purpose was being created as you developed at each level, in each stage of your development. But what has happened is, when we are born, society has been here longer than we have, so society's system takes over, and immediately from the time that we're born, we become socialized. But we're socialized to keep the wheel systems of society going. And so society says, when you're born, the first thing you need to do is to be taught how to become manageable. And so what happens? The parents, your mother, your father, your aunts, your uncles, and brothers and sisters, they all begin to say, that's not good. Don't touch that. That's not right. This is good. This is bad. You did wonderful today. No, you didn't do so well today. And so what happens is they begin to socialize you based on society's norms, society's morals, what society say is sacred and what society say is profane. And the way that they instill that in you is through what they have traditionally adopted in their life as a way of functioning in society. And so I'm saying all that to say this: regardless of what it is that you believe that you are here to do, it's important that you understand that you are a cohesive system, and everything is trying to manage and control you. Everything. And by means of managing and controlling you, it becomes stronger and it becomes more enforced, and its form becomes more transparent. And so you become less of who you are and more of who that system has actually socialized you to become. So in reality, it's important for us to become better stewards of ourselves. And I've listened to so many people and listened to so many wonderful teachers, and I don't negate anything that I'm understanding and learning and being taught and experiencing. But outside of that, I am also making sure that what I am extracting from what I am experiencing and partaking of resonates with who I am, who I have been manifested to be. How is it that what you say resonates with me? If there is no resignation, no resonation from what you are saying, then you and I can't make that connection. If I am reading a book and I cannot get past the introduction, I'm going to put the book down. Maybe something will happen later, or I am going to, if I am having a discussion with you and I'm finding that I am becoming more emotionally involved in our conversation, then I am now actually physically reacting to our exchange. And so when I physically react, then my spirit and my soul becomes dormant. And so now what we have got to learn how to do is to become a cohesive system so that our entire makeup can discern what is happening, so that we can become more in touch with who we are, who we have been created to be, who we have manifested to be. Now, one big secret is that we are all no different. We're all the same. There is no you and there is no me. There is only form. There is only form. And form is endless. Forms come in all shapes and sizes. We now have machines that can print out anything that you can think of. If you can think of something and you can manifest what you're thinking, whether it's in a drawing, whether it's in speech, whether it is in some type of artistic form, whether it is some type of music form, if you are able to manifest, it's going to be manifested in a form. And when that form is manifested, then others see it. And when they see it, they're either seeing it from their perspective, or they're able to resonate with you and make a connection with you and actually pick up what it is that you meant that form to become. So now what we're doing is we're making connections instead of becoming divided. And see, this is another thing that we have to be very cautious of and very careful with. Society needs us to remain divided. The only thing society wants us to become one in is what society deems necessary to keep its systems running. Other than that, society has no use for your individuality. Whatever you create, have you noticed that society will take what you have created and create it on a mass scale, and then once everybody has it, it becomes nothing anymore. And a good example is all of the technology that we have out here. How much stuff do we have in our basements, in our closets, in our back rooms? If we just look at technology, how much technology do we have? How many wires do we have? How many computers and iPads and phones and batteries and hearing earplugs and headphone sets, and how much of this stuff do we accumulated? Because once we have experienced it, we no longer have a need for it. So we're ready to let it go and to move on to the very next thing, the very next manifestation, the very next form. And once we have gotten our feel of that, we move to the next and to the next and to the next. It is so bad that society and those who have learned to live in their lower self and who have become so infatuated with things that they know exactly how to create an object that will draw you into it, and they know exactly when to cause that object to stop working. Haven't you noticed that you'll buy a piece of technology and it'll work for 30 days, a year, and then all of a sudden it just breaks? There's landfills. They're asking people to recycle their technology because there's landfills of iPhones, landfills of computers, landfills of wires and cords, and landfills of earplugs and all these types of technology. Because what happens is we are being trained to feed off of what is manifested, and it's a distraction, because as long as our focus is on what is being manifested, then we're no longer focusing on our inner temple where the manifestation and the creativity comes from. Now it's controlled. Now it's who can create something that society can grab a hold of and control all the other manifested bodies. And so what we're dealing with now, and what we have to really become aware of, is what is distracting us. Why are we so distracted? Why are we so afraid of who we are? Why are we so afraid to be alone? Why is it that being alone with ourselves causes so much fear and so much trauma? The level of anxiety, the level of depression, the level of schizophrenia, the level of all types of mental abnormalities that are starting to happen at such young ages. Is getting to the point now where society says we cannot manage all of this mental abnormality. So the way to do it is we got to medicalize behavior. And by medicalizing behavior, when you behave in a way that goes outside of the norms of society, the society says, how can we manage that behavior so that it does not disturb our cohesive system? So they will destroy your cohesion by giving you a pill, by putting you in very negative and energetic situations, causing chaos, the things that you look on TV, all of the catastrophes and disasters. All of that is like a dog leading sheep, guiding sheep through the pasture. So we get so caught up in it until we become detached, and we are no longer a cohesive self. Now we are a detached self, and we're wondering who we are. We're no longer in touch with who we are. So it's very important to begin to understand that you are not here to play life games. You are life, having an experience as you. And so for life, this is not a game. And that's how come you never die. That's how come that's how come reincarnation, for lack of a better word, is important to understand. Because although you may not come back, or you may not, when you are manifested again, you may not manifest in the form that you are in now, but you come back. Why do you come back? Because the you that is coming back, and is coming back in a different form, is still the same you. So we get caught up in the form. We get caught up in the appearance. We get caught up in what is manifested. And that is not where our treasure should be. Our treasure should be stored in places where thieves and robbers cannot get to it. And so in closing, what I would like to share with you is this. You cannot continue to allow your being to be controlled by something or someone outside of you. When you are no longer resonating, when you are no longer vibrating and becoming a cohesive self, and really aligning yourself and bringing the balance to yourself, when you are no longer doing that, then you can no longer really touch the source of life that is giving you your purpose for being here. You are no longer in touch with your designer. You're no longer in touch with your purpose. You are chaotic. You are divided. And so you become divided and you see things from a dualistic perspective. But when you're single-eyed, you see everything single. So it's based on how you see it. And so I hope you get something from this. I know I've rambled, but, it's what I do. Have a great day.